Hello, everybody. Very warm welcome from us at the Information Lab to this Analytics in the Cloud webinar. My name is Peter. I'm just introducing here today. Our session lead today is Anya, and she'll be walking you through using TabPy and AWS together and how you can implement those in your business. Just a few points just before we get started. So we've seen a message in the chat already. This webinar is being recorded. So if you want to come back to it at a future date, or if there's any of your colleagues that want to check it out as well, then yes, this is being recorded and will be available through the Information Lab YouTube channel, etc. If you have any questions or any issues at any point, please do let us know by using the chat. We will have some time for Q&A at the end of the session. And Anya's going to be happy to answer any questions that you might have about what she's going through. So yeah, please do let us know if there's any questions that you might have in the chat. And yeah, any other issues that, if there's tech issues or anything like that, then equally let us know. I think that's everything though for now. The session is recording at the moment. We've checked that, double checked it. So I can hand you over to Anya and she will take you through the rest of the session. So bye from me and enjoy.
Hello, thank you for the introduction and welcome to everyone who joined this webinar today with us. I'm going to walk you through how to install TabPy on an EC2 instance on AWS and then how to configure it to use on Tableau Server. So let me start sharing my screen. So yeah, as Peter mentioned, my name is Anya, and I'm going to walk you through this process today. So the first thing that we need to understand before we start actually looking at AWS, what is TabPy? So TabPy is a special framework that allows Tableau communicate with Python scripts and run them either in Tableau Workbook, so you can use a reference, a code in Python in your calculated field in Tableau Workbook that will become a table calculation, and you can use one of the script functions that are available in Tableau, and you can bring either strings or integers or floats or even Boolean values back in Tableau Workbook using TabPy in Python scripts in your calculated fields. You can also use Python scripts and TabPy connection in Tableau prep flows and add a script step, as you can see an example here on screen. And using the complete Python code here, you can not only bring one value back, but you can bring the whole data frame back from, say, connecting to an API or connecting to, or just running a certain script to make certain calculations available in Tableau Prep. We will have a look at how it can be used in both Tableau Workbook and Tableau Prep Flow at the end of this session. So this is a TabPy server that allows your Tableau run Python script. So let's now see how we can, where we can use it and how we can set it up. First of all, we need to understand that there is a little bit of a difference between using it on Tableau Server and Tableau Online. You can use TabPy and run Python scripts in both workbooks and Tableau Prep flows when you use it on Tableau Server. The only thing I would mention here that if you want to publish and schedule your Tableau Prep flows to run on Tableau Server or Tableau Online, you would need to have a Tableau Prep conductor, which is a part of the data management add-on. If you have this data management add-on and Tableau Prep conductor, you will be able to publish and schedule your Tableau Prep flows with Python scripts on Tableau Server. At the moment, it's available only there. On Tableau Online, you can use TabPy and Python scripts only in Tableau workbooks at the moment. So that's a little bit about TabPy. So now let's go ahead and see how we can install it on AWS EC2 instance. So let me make my AWS management console a little bit bigger. So we start with the basic EC2 instance from our AWS management console. I don't have an instance running, so I will set it up from scratch now. So you can see I don't have any instances. It should be 0, yes. And there is this big orange button that we need to press to actually launch a new instance. So while it's launching, just a couple of words that TabPy is recommended to be installed on a separate server from your Tableau server, on a separate instance, so they're not clashing, especially if you're going to use TabPy, for example, to run some heavy statistical analysis. So that's always recommended to have them on separate servers. If you do have your Tableau server installed on AWS as well, it's recommended that you're using VPC, the virtual private cloud, to install your Tableau server. And if you want to have TabPy, it's also a good idea to install TabPy on a separate instance, but in the same virtual private cloud. So to make it easier for the server and TabPy to communicate with each other. So I'm going to launch a new free tier instance here. I will go for Ubuntu. You can obviously choose another type of instance that's more suitable for your case. I would go for this one. In my case, again, I'm not going to run any extensive scripts, any heavy lifting statistical analysis. So I would go for just, again, free tier eligible small instance type, which is T2. You can also choose something more with more power if you're going to use TabPy extensively and run long and complex scripts. So I would go for T2. Next, I would need to configure instance details. I'm not going to change many details here, to be honest. To be honest, no details I'm not going to change here. But the main thing I need to check here before continuing to the next step is to make sure that my auto-assign public IP option is enabled. So you can see that there are options to enable and disable. So by default, I'm using the subnet setting and it's enabled here. I can maybe be very specific and say, yes, enable it. So if we have this option enabled, that will allow us to connect to TabPy and actually run the scripts from our workbooks. Otherwise, the TabPy won't have any publicly open IP and we won't be able to connect to it from our Tableau workbooks. So we check that this option is available. Then we can see if we want to add more storage. Again, I'm going to keep it here as a default value because I'm going to run it just for this demo. I don't need a large storage. Tags, I'm going to skip this for now. The next part is quite important. So this is where we're configuring security group. So security group allows us to set the IPs from which we are able to connect to this instance. So SSH, or secure shell, that's the type of protocol that we're going to use to connect to our EC2. But also we need to set the setting, the custom protocol that allows us to open the port that TabPy communicates with. So first, let's see, the default setting here is the SSH, setting the security settings for the SSH connection. So we can remotely log into the instance and configure, say, for example, our TabPy server. So I will keep it as it is for now on my screen. The only thing I will change is the IP address that will be available for connection, for SSH connection in this case. So at the moment it says custom. I would go to anywhere. Again, I'm running this instance only for this demo, so I'm going to terminate it later. But if you are setting up in production, obviously you need to make sure that you are not opening this instance to be accessed from anywhere by anywhere on the internet. So you can say a custom IP, or you can here select my IP and it automatically will determine your IP and set it only for this IP. So you can access this instance only from this IP. Say, for example, if it's your office IP. So I would set it to anywhere for this case, but then I need to make sure that I add a new rule, and that's going to be my custom TCP rule that allows me to set the port that's usually used for TabPy to communicate with Tableau, Tableau workbooks or Tableau prep flows. So port is usually set as 9004. Again, you can set it further in configurations for your TabPy, and I will show you in a second all the different configurations that are available. And again, here I need to set up the IP address from where I will use this port. Again, for this case, I'm going to set anywhere because I'm just going to use it for the demo, but you need to set it in the same way as you set the IP address for the SSH connection to make sure that it's secured and it's not open to everyone on the internet. So that's it. I will maybe change the group name so it's a little bit more explicit. And then I can review and launch this instance. If you are running as well Tableau Server on a separate EC2 instance and you're already using a security group there, you can also use the same security group when you are setting up your TabPy. So it's, again, easier for Tableau Server and TabPy to communicate with each other. So I review and launch. That all looks fine. Yes, I get this notice that I'm opening my EC2 instance to everyone on the internet, which is fine for this case. I'm not going to change anything here, and I just say launch. And then next step, before I launch this instance, I will need to set the key pair that will allow me to actually SSH into this instance. So you can create a new key for this particular instance. I'm going to use the one that I created just earlier. So I will choose an existing key pair, and that's going to be my TabPy demo. When you create in the new key, you will have the .pem file created, and you will need to save it in a certain location on your machine so you know where it is saved, because we will need it to SSH into the instance later. So I say yes and launch instance. So that will take a second, and if I go to view instances, I will see that I have one instance already running. That's the one that we just installed now. So if I click into this instance to see details about it, I will see the public IP address available, all the details that I set up, all the details about the machine. And now I will be able to SSH into this instance, so connect to it remotely using the terminal that I have opened on the left side, and then install TabPy and run it. So first, we would need to make sure that we are in the location in our terminal window. We are in the location where we save this key file. You remember the TabPy demo.pem in my case. That's where we need to make sure that we are we change the directory if we're in a different one. So we are in the same folder where the PEM file is saved. So in my case, I'm running this from a Windows machine. So if you want to SSH into your EC2 instance from a Windows machine, you can either use a PuTTY, P-U-T-T-Y, or you can use, like I'm doing here, Windows Subsystem for Linux, and that has already SSH abilities installed. If you are using Linux or Mac machine, that already can be done straight from your terminal, so you don't need to install or configure anything else. So here, as I said, I'm using Windows Subsystem for Linux, and I can straight SSH into my EC2 from here. So first, we can, let's see, if I refresh this page, I should be able to see that my instance is up and running, and yes, and then my connect button becomes available. So I just click there to see all the details on how I can SSH into this instance. So first, we would need to run this command, chmod 400 tabpy demo.pem. That's the name of my key, to make sure that the key is not publicly viewable. So I can just copy it here, paste in my terminal, press enter. So I'm not going to get any feedback back, but I'm not getting any errors either. So that just checks that my key is not publicly viewable. So next step is to connect to SSH into our server. So that's the example here, further down below on the same page. So it shows me the key that I'm using here, the name of my instance, and then uses the public IP for this instance. So again, it's very easy. I just copy this and paste in my terminal, press enter. And I will say yes here. I'm sure that I would like to continue. And then here it is. Now I am logged in and in the instance that we just set up a second ago. So now we would need to install Python first, because TabPy is a library from in Python. So first we need to install Python. So to do that, I would just save some time, copy, here you go, copy the command. So here it says sudo, so the super user, install Python 3.7. So, okay. And we get in some. No. And as always with live demos, things go wrong. Let's try and quickly debug it. Let's see if we have Python. Oh, we already have Python installed. Yeah, silly me. Okay, that's very good. That Linux machine obviously comes with the Python installation already. That saves us some time. So we have, as you see, the Python 3.8 version already installed. So that makes it easier. Then we need to install the pip. That is the library that allows us to install other libraries in Python. So again, let me just paste the command. My terminal doesn't want to work with me today. Okay. So it's going to be curl, and doesn't really want to do that for me. So that's going to be HTTPS. So we are now, oops, drop, .py. So this command will download the pip on my instance. So here we go, we downloaded the pip now to this instance, and now we need to install it. So Python 3 get pip, so get this file and install it on this instance. And that will take a second. Here we go. And we successfully installed pip on this machine. So now we're finally able to install TabPy, which will also take just a minute. So that will be pip install TabPy. Lovely. Something is clearly not working today. Let me run this command again. Python get. Okay, that should work. No.
Try pip3. And try pip3.
Yeah. Here you go.
I need to specify.
Yep. No. It should be pip. Oh yeah, maybe I should do the. No wait. Sudo apt. Maybe there is a, yeah, maybe it needs. Okay. As always, everything works before the live demo, and then nothing works. Okay, great. As always, Googling helps. Okay. Okay, let's try this option. Python 3, that should be. Sorry about that. Here we go, it says the fib is installed. So let's now try. This is bizarre. Shouldn't be, yeah, it works with 3.8. Peter, do you know, it worked just a minute ago before the webinar.
No, I can't think why it's not working, to be honest. You've tried all the things that I would try.
Yeah. This is really strange. Oh, no.
Can you try that command with TabPy on the end?
Without dot.
Yeah, that looks to me like it's trying to do a pip install.
Like that.
Yeah.
Maybe Python.
Yeah, maybe without the E.
And then install TabPy. Oh, I love demos. Everything works just before that, and then it doesn't work. Okay, now we are up and running back, and we see that we're installing TabPy, and TabPy also comes with quite a lot of usual libraries that we're going to use in Python install, say like NumPy, Pandas, but obviously if you are going to use some specific libraries in your Python script, you do need to make sure that you install them on your EC2 instance, so you have them available and they will be used in your script. Okay, lovely. So now we have our TabPy installed, and to launch TabPy, we just need to type TabPy in our terminal. Perfect. Okay. Okay.
Try the same again, that Python 3-m, and then the command you want to run.
Okay. Shall I just say pip install or just install?
If you just want to run TabPy, I would run just put TabPy.
I see, yeah.
Okay.
directly executed. Just to check, no, TabPy is not installed. That won't work, yeah. This is fascinating.
Could you do a quick start of machine, maybe? It might need to...
Maybe restart, okay.
Yeah. If we restart the instance.
Okay, so let's see.
Oh yeah, this might help as well. If you log out and again, it might.
Yeah.
Okay. Need to kind of source some things. It would be single dash v.
Yeah. Okay, let's try.
It looks like it's there. That's more. I would say that's more. I would just run TabPy now.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's see. Yeah. No. Oh no. Yeah. Sorry. Got really confused with all this things. So to run TabPy, we just need to type TabPy, and then once it's up and running, you will see that the web service is listening on port 9004. That's exactly the same port that we installed when we were, you remember, creating this security group. So that's the port that we pointed to. Again, there are a lot of configurations that you can change, and I would recommend looking at the documentation for TabPy on GitHub, on Tableau's GitHub page. And there is an example of config file, and there are quite a few configurations that you can change, including the port, including setting up the passwords and logins. So all the different things that you can add into your config file. Here, I'm using just the default settings, but if you have the config file with your settings, you will need to say TabPy double stroke and then config.ini. So then you're going to use this file, config file, to start your TabPy. Okay, so now we have our TabPy running. So let's see how we can put it in use in our Tableau workbooks. So this is a very simple workbook. You can see that I have the list of my fire stations, and their names are all in a lowercase. So what I want to do, I want to I want to convert them into the uppercase. It's, again, a very simple use case for this demo, but you can obviously write a very complex Python script in your Tableau calculation. So here I'm saying that it's going to be a script that's going to bring a string back. And the script is very simple. It just returns the string with a different case. And the string is going to be taken from the argument 1, which is going to be the field station name. And notice that all the fields that you're using in the table calculation, in the calculated field, sorry, when you're using scripts, they should be aggregated. So that's why my station name comes here as ATTR. So that's my simple calculated field here. Let me just bring it on the screen. I can't even bring it because it's not connected. The configuration is not set for my TabPy. So let's do that. So that takes me to help, settings and performance. And then there is an option, manage analytics extension connection. And you can see that the first one that we see is the TabPy. So let me move my page a little bit smaller so we will see the settings for my instance. So let's check the IP. So this is our public IP that we're going to use to connect to the TabPy. So let me copy that. So that's going to go into our host name, and the port is going to be 9004. Again, if you have a username and password, you can put them here and connect and using them. So I just can check that connection is working. Yeah, we're successfully connected. I click save. Great. Close this window, and now I will be able to bring this calculation, and you can see that all my names are now converted into different case. So now let's publish this workbook. So if I go into server, publish the workbook. Yes, the project is the one. Okay, so I published this workbook, and now while it's publishing, let's go into the server. So you can see that it's opening now a new tab with this workbook. But if I open it, I'm not going to get any result from here because I don't have the configuration set on the server. So if I go back to my Tableau server, go to settings, I am inside a server admin on the server, so it's going to be available for me. If it's a normal user, they won't see this option. So I go into settings, extensions, and then here I have this analytics extension option. So here I need to make sure that I enable analytics extension for the site. Just let me save it so we know that it's there. And then create the new connection. It's going to be TabPy. And then here again, I put the same IP that I used in my workbook, 9004. That's my port. Say create. Oh, connection name, sorry, TabPy. Here we go. So now I have this extension configured. Let me go back to the workbook. Okay, let's try and open it again. And it doesn't work. And because we need to republish the workbook to the server again, so it takes the settings now and run the Python script. So that's a good idea to set the configuration on your server first, and then publish the workbooks with the script. So yes, I agree. And now when we see that when the workbook is published on the server, you will get a note asking you which connection you would like to use. So you can use for different sites on the same server, you can use different connections, and you can select from them depending on what you're running, whether you're running, say, if you're using TabPy or Python scripts, you can also use R, then it's going to be a different server. So I say apply. And now when I open the workbook, I will see that my calculations are working absolutely fine. I don't get any error message or any issues related to the TabPy server. So that's how you can use your, how you can run Python scripts in your Tableau workbooks. And that's how you can also use the TabPy on your Tableau server. So we are a little bit out of time, so apologies for the technical issues. Everything worked before. Just a very quick note to let you know that obviously if you close this terminal that I have now running with TabPy, your connection with TabPy will close and your workbooks won't be working. So if you want to keep the connection running all the time, which I guess is the best way, you can use a terminal multiplexer. So it's either screened or TMUX. And say, for example, if I close this connection, so I close now connection with TabPy, so it's not running anymore. So before starting your TabPy, you can say, let me see install TMUX just to make sure that it's installed, and then TMUX new, and then I create a new session. I would call it TabPy again, just to make it very easy. And you can see now that I am in this new separate session that's called TabPy, and I can start my TabPy here, and it's all up and running, and it's listening on the same port. So now my session is active, and I can detach this active session by typing Control B and Control B and D. Right, and I see now that my session is detached, so I can close this terminal and my workbook will still be able to access the server and run the scripts. And if I want to get the list of all my active sessions, so you can have several, I just type tmuxls and that gets me this session that's now currently running and it's called TabPy. So I can always go back to it, tmux attach session and then the session name. Here you go, I'm back into the same session and I can make changes, I can stop it, I can do whatever I want to do with this session. So that's the way to install TabPy on an EC2 server and also make it keep it running so you can use it on your Tableau server in workbooks or Tableau prep flows. So I hope that it gives you a little bit of a better idea how you can use TabPy in your flows. So I understand that we ran a little bit over time, but if there are any questions, Peter, let me know if there are any open questions in the chat. I don't see anything. If you do have any questions, please feel free to reach out. And we are going also to share some useful links together with the video when it will be published on our YouTube channel. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Anya. An excellent job. Yeah, unfortunately with those technical difficulties, but yeah, big thank you to you for sharing all that with us. I don't see any questions in the chat either, so I think we might be okay for now. But yeah, as Anya says, if there is any questions from anybody, please do reach out to us and look out for the YouTube for the recording going up if you do want to watch this in future or share it with your friends and colleagues.
There is a quick, sorry, just noticed there is a question in the chat. Any recommendations on limiting what users can do inside the script from Tableau? I would say maybe first you can set up the password and login so people actually can't use the TabPy unless they have the login and you know who is logging in. Another thing, if it's viewers, they won't be even able to see the calculations, so that kind of closes it. You can also limit maybe the number of libraries that you installed on your server, so people can't use other libraries. So only the server admins have the power to install additional libraries, for example. But that's a very good question, actually. If you want to reach out later on, if you have any certain use cases in mind.
Excellent. And if that is it from everybody, yeah, Anya is available to contact us at info@theinformationlab if there is any other questions that you might have, and that will get to her, no doubt. But yeah, once again, thank you, Anya. Thank you, everybody else, for joining us, and we will wrap it up there.